Every company reports an income tax number, but two very different rates hide behind it. There is the statutory rate Congress sets, and there is the effective tax rate the company actually reports. In this section, we will reconcile one to the other, dollar by dollar, and then look at how that tax expense gets divided across the financial statements rather than dumped in one place. Start with the definition. The effective tax rate, or ETR, is simply total income tax expense divided by pre-tax book income. It is a single ratio, but it almost never lands exactly on the statutory 21% federal rate. That gap is not a mistake. It is the fingerprint of every adjustment the company made between statutory tax and reported tax expense, and reading that fingerprint is one of the most useful skills in tax accounting. So why does the effective rate drift away from statutory? 5 forces usually explain it. Permanent differences, items that hit book income or taxable income, but never both and never reverse. Rate differentials, mostly state taxes layered on top of the federal rate. Changes in the valuation allowance against deferred tax assets. Adjustments to uncertain tax positions, meaning positions the company is not fully confident will hold up on examination. And finally, a catch-all bucket of other reconciling items. Every line in the reconciliation table we are about to walk through traces back to one of these 5. Here is a full worked example. Start with $1 million of pre-tax book income and tax it at the 21% statutory rate, giving $210,000. Then add back non-deductible meals, a permanent difference. Subtract tax-exempt municipal bond interest. Subtract $1 for dollar research and development tax credit. Subtract the effect of the Section 199, a qualified business income deduction. Add an increase in the valuation allowance on a deferred tax asset, and add state taxes, net of the federal benefit. Every one of those lines is doing exactly what we just described on the previous slide. Add up every line in that reconciliation and total income tax expense comes to $218,300. Divide that by the $1 million of pre-tax book income and the effective tax rate is 21.83%. Notice how small that final gap is, less than 1 full percentage point, even though 6 separate adjustments fed into it. Some pushed the rate up, some pushed it down, and they mostly offset. That is completely normal, and it is exactly why a reviewer reads the reconciliation line by line rather than just the final number. Now shift from the rate itself to a different question. Once total tax expense is known, where does it actually get recorded? The answer is not always continuing operations, and that is what intraperiod tax allocation is about. Intraperiod tax allocation requires that income tax expense, or benefit, be allocated among the financial statement components that actually cause the income, rather than dumping the entire number into continuing operations. Think of it as matching the tax to the item that generated it. If a gain shows up in other comprehensive income instead of net income, the tax on that gain needs to show up in other comprehensive income too, not on the income statement where it would distort the picture of ongoing operating performance. 5 components typically need their own allocation. Income from continuing operations gets its tax expense on the income statement, in the continuing operations section, exactly where you would expect. Discontinued operations are presented net of tax, inside the discontinued operations section itself. Other comprehensive income items, such as unrealized gains or losses on available for sale securities, pension adjustments, and hedging, get their tax allocated to other comprehensive income, and are shown net of tax there rather than in continuing operations. Prior period error corrections allocate their tax effect to retained earnings in the earliest period presented. And since the 2016 Accounting Standards Update numbered 09, excess tax benefits and shortfalls from stock-based compensation all go to continuing operations, no longer split off to additional paid in capital. 2 ideas to carry forward. First, the effective tax rate divides total income tax expense by pre-tax book income, and the reconciliation from statutory to effective is where permanent differences, rate differentials, valuation allowance changes, and uncertain tax position adjustments all show their work. Second, once that expense is known, it does not all belong to continuing operations. Intraperiod allocation spreads it across continuing operations, discontinued operations, other comprehensive income, and retained earnings, so every component of the financial statements carries its own accurate after-tax result.